Welcome to this episode of the Spellbound saga. My name is Zach. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the end of the Spellbound story. The end of Curse, the end of part 5. They finally get all the stones and complete the mission. I know a lot of spoilers ahead, so if you don't really want to watch this episode, maybe check out from the beginning. Check it out from the start of the story, the ice tower, where they get each stone. Here at the end of the story, we've already collected all the stones up except for the air and bird stone. So what happens is, the Luanishi tree has already been destroyed by Chris, and the Chosen are getting together with King Gali in his throne room, and they're trying to decide what they're supposed to do. Since their guide and mentor is totally gone, they gotta figure out what they have to do next, now. Because the floating city is flying around destroying the whole world, and that's where the last two are kept. They decided that's probably what we have to do. There's no one here to tell us what we need to do, so we gotta figure it out on our own. So they get all the Chosen together. King Gali makes a plan to move the floating city towards the Verandia, have it willingly just move itself towards that area, because the Verandia is this circular area. The Verandia is a big ring wall that used to be a structure of some sort, but over hundreds of thousands of years it was destroyed. But inside of the ring, no magic is able to be performed, so you can do powers outside of it or just outside of it, but not inside of it. So they're trying to move the floating city towards the Verandia so it'll just power down and they can invade it without any magical consequences. So the plan is to move it there, and the Chosen already are at the Verandia, discovering along the outer wall there are these doors, kind of like they've been seeing all throughout the story already. Each stone is kept inside of a building where there's some sort of door like this. Like Dimitri and Laura found the ice tower where there was a door where they had Dimitri touch the door and it opened to the ice tower. In the volcano where Melissa got the lava stone, the back wall had a door where once Melissa touched it, it opened. So they discover these doors all along the outside of the building. Each of them go touch each of these doors to figure out which one is which, because they seem to be opening for people of that particular power, but being closed once they're inside. So once Murdo has tried the door, it opened for him, he went in, and there was no other person with rock abilities there to reopen the door, and he didn't come back out. So they decided this must be important in some way. Since we've had to do this before in our missions, we've had to go through a doorway to get the stones. The stones are in the floating city that's being moved in this direction. There aren't 12 doors because some of the ring goes out into the ocean, so some of them are missing. And there's supposed to be a door for each different type of ability, which they all have. And once they go inside of these doors, it's kind of like an empty chamber that's kind of destroyed, and there's ways out. There's ways up to the top. They can see light poking through, and it's kind of like a tunnel. And when they go in, they're confronted by someone else on the opposite end of the room, and they're wondering, how is someone able to live in here? The person they find in the room is an inverted version of themselves. So Dimitri walks through the doorway, goes into this room, and on the other side of the room, instead of having a blue jacket and dark brown hair, the inverted version of him has like an orange hoodie and light brown hair and dark brown pants, and he's kind of shy and timid and is afraid no one's gonna like him, and just the opposite of what Dimitri has become this whole journey. Shannon goes into her own room and finds herself, but an inverted version of her, where she's really extroverted, really popular and fun-loving, and everyone's nice to her. Instead of black hair, it's blonde. Instead of wearing all black, it's all bright colors. And Shannon has to fight this person because all of them are confronted with this duplicate of themselves saying that they're going to replace them. Gali's there too. He goes into a room, meets a version of himself where instead of spiky red hair, the guy has short green hair, and instead of having swords, the guy has this like magical book or something, and instead of like armor, the guy's wearing robes. A total opposite version of himself, saying that it is him and he's going to replace him. So each of them have to defeat the version of themselves that they find in these rooms. Just before Dimitri lets Melissa into her doorway, she turns back to him and says, "I see why Laura would want to be with you after everything that they've gone through so far, everything that she's heard about his adventures and the adventures she's been going on now with him. She accepts him as being good enough for Laura." She goes in through the doorway and meets a negative version of herself, defeats it, and they all come up to the top ring. Once they've defeated their negative form, they come up to the top ring and they're like looking like off into the distance to see if that really is their friend or the negative version that may have defeated them. They just have to trust that none of them succumbed to their negative versions. And once they get to the top and defeat their other forms, the floating city starts appearing above their heads, and they all use their powers because they're just like on the top of the Verandia, but just enough to be able to use their powers outside of the ring. And they're using their abilities to hold the floating city up as it's about to just drop down out of the sky. Since it's in the center, it's not able to use powers and use any magic. So the stones have been disconnected from the machines, and where Princess Kea is being held, at the bottom of it, they're looking up into the bottom of the floating city to see her being held inside of it. The machines just break down, smash up, and she's free from the cage that she was trapped in, but she's hanging upside down through all these machines and mechanical wires, and everything's electric. She has wings where she can fly, but she can't spread them wide enough to be able to just fly out of the situation. She has to just drop. And so she's sitting there holding on tight, afraid for her life. She's like, if I just fall, I'm gonna die. So it's so quiet there, all she can hear is the people way down below, the Chosen, along the ring, where Karsten has left the ring, run to the center of the Verandia without being able to use magic powers, so he's sliding down the wall, not able to use his air powers to lift him up. He's just risking his life to run to the center of this ring to catch Kea, who's just gonna drop hundreds of feet. Just the most massive trust fall ever. She knows she can't spread her wings out when she's falling because it might break her wings. They're big angel wings, but they're only so strong. She's afraid she's gonna break her wings and fall anyway and die no matter what she does. So she hears the Chosen down below, and they're all saying, "Jump, just do it. We trust you, trust us. We know you can do this. We're gonna help you." You can hear Dimitri, Shannon, Karsten, all of the characters that you met all throughout the book calling up to Kea saying, just fall. We have you. We got you. You're gonna survive this. So she does. She drops down and she sees Karsten like just expanding as she's falling down below him. And the fact that this was an act of love from Karsten breaks the curse on the Verandia, breaks the curse on all the stones. So Karsten and Kea are able to use their magic powers now, and she's gonna fall directly into his arms safely, where they kiss, and Quali appears and bats the floating city out of the sky. He's the big enemy throughout the whole story that cursed everybody, everything, and these acts of love that they've been making have been breaking his curses. But when he knocks the floating city out of the sky, it lands off into the desert far, far away, so Chris is dead in the floating city that's exploded in the distance. And now they have to fight this giant dragon cat beast with all the stones, because the Air and Bird stone dropped with Kea before she fell. They now have all the stones. Each of the Chosen have a stone for their elemental type. Like, Dimitri still has his ice stone. Murdo still has his rock stone. Gally's there with the fire stone. All the Chosen are there with their special stones. Half or not, they have them. And they use them to defeat Quali, except they don't have to fight him at all. Cuba appears with Slail, the guy that had kidnapped her in the beginning, and they come with another creature that looks just like Quali. It's Quali's girlfriend from billions of years ago. They were separated, so that's why he cursed the stones. His girlfriend's mission was to spread the stones throughout the worlds, throughout the universe, and Quali had cursed that mission, putting a curse on all the characters, and now they've just broken it by reuniting him with his love, performed 3 acts of love within their mission to break all the curses. All of them collected all the stones. All their missions are done, and it's time for the Earthlings to go back home and just say goodbye to their friends. They've saved the princess, they helped the prince, they met a dancer, they met this girl who's psychic and told them everything that they needed to do except for certain things. Murdo, who had all those rock abilities, and he's been their friend since the beginning, and they gotta just wave goodbye to them now because their mission's over. They don't need to come back to Geode for any of this until the tree has grown back, and that could be years. So they wave goodbye to their friends that they've made and go back to Earth to just retell the tale to each other over and over throughout the years until they forget exactly how it all went. Thank you very much for joining me in this story. Maybe check out the audiobook. It's the sequel for this story that happens like 5 years later where the Luwanishi tree grows back. Maybe I'll see you again in the future. Have a good day. So in this episode, what happens is the Chosen already free from being tied up. All she can hear is the screams. Allows magic to be broken after they just collected the dragon cat beast